This motion has been crafted with Mr Hutchings and other staff to try and get it worded correctly.
Excuse me.
This motion...
No. Councillor Best, take your seat. We'll adjourn the meeting for up to 15 minutes, please.
Point of order, Madam Mayor.
No, Councillor Best, I'm the chair. I've adjourned the meeting and we'll...
Nobody's interjected, Madam Mayor.
No.
The community has merely
Councillor
stood.
Best.
And I don't think they're going anywhere.
Last week we foreshadowed a fiery council meeting, and that's exactly what we got. On Monday evening, the battle for Warnervale Airport took an unprecedented turn when 200 citizens converged on the council's chamber to hear the debate. 100 people filled the public gallery, and a separate overflow room had to be set up to accommodate the rest. The motions at the centre of the fiery debate were about encroaching vegetation, pilot safety, and the future operations of the airport itself. At one point, Mayor Jane Smith adjourned the meeting and walked out when all 100 people in the gallery stood in silent protest after the council dismissed a motion that would have allowed trimming of vegetation in proximity to the runway. Central Coast newspapers were at the meeting to cover developments as they unfolded.
First motion on the floor to do with the trimming of the trees was a protracted motion with lots of amendments and counter motions put. How did you think that was handled?
Not well. So we're of the opinion there's a safety risk immediately, and there's a lot of emotion in the room, quite rightly so, because we have student pilots flying around. We're highly concerned about the safety of our student pilots, obviously, and our staff and the residents of the Central Coast driving along Sparks Road, for example. And Council voted to go through a whole study process before they act on that problem. And towards the end there, I'd like to apologise to the staff in there that had to put up with us, but we had a bit of a silent protest, refused to leave the room to show them how serious we are. It was really the only available action left to us to show how important it was.
And
Look, tonight's been a bit history-making. The community, in defiance of the council and the mayor, sat there and refused to leave the chamber. And people were not happy with that. But what made them do it? That's the question. What has council done to these good people to bring them out of their beds? A couple of hundred of them here tonight. They're fed up with council. They're fed up with the political procrastination. But tonight, through their support, through their turning out, through people power, frankly, we've now got up that we're going to move forward with the licence agreement, and we're going to go to the minister and we're going to deal with that War Act.
Andrew, we've just come out of the council meeting with the motions regarding the airport put. What do you think was the feeling of the meeting after, and the way the motions were passed, the motions that were passed by the mayor?
Well, it was very positive at the end there. So we got a motion through that we weren't confident about getting, to be honest. So the mayor's agreed to take it to, or the council have agreed to take it to state government to have a look at the Act, the big problem for us, and to have a look at our agreement.
The revitalisation of Gosford CBD is poised to continue, with St Hilliers announcing that the master plan for Central Coast Quarter will be lodged in September. The development will include a hotel, apartments and retail outlets within multiple public thoroughfares. The precinct, if approved, will transform the southern end of Man Street near the ATO and finance buildings. New South Wales Planning Minister Rob Stokes visited the coast yesterday to unveil the latest plans to rejuvenate the Leagues Club field in Gosford. Planning has been done in consultation with the Darkinjung people. The redevelopment of the field will incorporate walkways, a running watercourse, and will reflect both its Indigenous and colonial heritage. Minister Stokes said that the work will commence before the end of this year.
So the Leagues Clubs field is an incredible opportunity for the people of the Central Coast. It's a great place, a great opportunity to use what is a blank canvas right in the centre of the Gosford CBD, right up against the waterfront, and reimagine it as a play space for everyone, to bring great landscaping, great landscape architecture, really thoughtful design that brings in Indigenous perspectives as well as perspectives of different stages of European settlement as well. Put that all together and put it right in the heart of the CBD for everyone to enjoy.
In related news, Minister Stokes also announced a historic agreement with the Darkinjung Land Council to enable rezoning of land in Sommersby. The plan will see the majority of the land zoned environmental, with a smaller portion to allow rural residential subdivision.
What might seem a very vanilla rezoning application is actually crucially important, because it marks the first time that the planning system and the Aboriginal land rights system can be brought together to activate land owned by Aboriginal people to meet the needs of Aboriginal people as well as the broader community as well.
Meanwhile, up on the mountain, the Mountain Districts Association is appealing to the broader community to support their water pollution research and legal costs in a fresh crowdfunding campaign aimed at supporting the council in upcoming legal battles against the EPA and the landfill operators. We spoke with MDA spokesperson Stephen Goodwin.
We need money to pay for water sampling and analysis. It is important that we get reputable companies to undertake this work for us, to give us the detailed information that we need to allow council to represent you in the court case on this matter. We also have legal fees that we incur ourselves in obtaining advice, and we do a lot of routine work gathering information that's in the public domain through GIPA. All of this costs money, which we don't have. So now we're asking you to help us with this. Thank you.
Erina Fair Ice Arena is set to close this month for building works, mainly on its external cladding. Lendlease announced that the rink would close on August 18th for up to a year, as it needs modification to meet updated legislative standards since it was constructed in 2004. The move leaves figure ice skating, ice hockey and learn to skate groups, plus many schools with no choice but to travel out of the Central Coast to skate. Lendlease Managing Director of Funds Management Scott Mosley said the work could not be avoided and apologised to users. Last skate is happening this Sunday from 12 p.m. Momentum is building around the rollout of 5G mobile technology to support growth with the Internet of Things and associated data requirements. Parts of the Central Coast have been earmarked for some of the first rollouts of 5G in Australia. Concern is rising, however, about the potential health risks associated with higher frequency electromagnetic radiation, and that the technology is being rolled out without community consultation and before being properly tested. We spoke with Gabby Tudor.
Right now, the rollout of 5G will be actually 10 times stronger than 4G, and it is pulsated shortwave microwave radiation that we're looking at. And really what's happening is that we're seeing a technology that's never been used before, that has very little testing. And actually what's happened now is the governing body here in Australia, ARPANSA, actually hasn't done any sort of testing for 4G or anything since actually 2002. So we're having a community health symposium at the Kinghummer Neighbourhood Centre from 2 to 4 p.m. We have Lynn from EMR Australia, who will be talking about the impending rollout and what 5G looks like and how it differs from 4G. We will also be hearing from Carla, who is an EHS sufferer who's had tremendous health effects from electromagnetic radiation, and so she will be talking about her journey. We will also be having a presentation from a building biologist who basically looks at houses and how radiation affects people in their homes.
In sport, the Ourimbah Razorbacks' 31-game winning streak has come to an end. The Razorbacks were defeated 41 points to 22 by the Terrigal Trojans at the Haven on Saturday. As anticipated, it was a very physical encounter. Terrigal were the first to put points on the board after 9 minutes, but Ourimbah hit back and teams went in at half-time with the score locked in at 15-all. Both teams scored again early in the second half, but it was Terrigal who piled on the pressure in the last 15 minutes to run in 2 tries and put the result beyond doubt. The win put the Trojans in the box seat to win the minor premiership. The Central Coast Mariners emerging star Dylan Rui Diaz has proved invaluable to the young Socceroos. In their first game of the AFF Under-18 World Championships, the Roos beat Thailand 3-1 and Rui Diaz was a standout with 2 second-half goals and a goal assist. The final goal was gifted to Rui Diaz following a clanger from the Thai keeper.
Và bây giờ là bàn thắng thứ 3. 3-0 cho U18 Australia.
That's all for this week. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week for Friday's 5 at 5.